Hey, man. Yeah.
Hey, man. Okay.
We about to get this thing rocking and rolling, y'all. So she here. She literally about to break this thing down for you guys. Just go back and mute y'all so I'll see a couple of y'all. But she about to break this thing down for y'all. And look, Joy, the floor is yours. I know you about to flame them up, and let's get it going, y'all. This is day one. Welcome to Rich Off Credit Week. Make sure y'all got y'all notes out. Let's get it.
Okay, so it's day one, so we are going to go over our business structure. But shout out for Haggy for putting together this challenge so that everyone can get their business and get the funding that they need. But everything's going to start with your business structure. Okay, your business structure. So no matter where you are in your business, no matter how big or how small it is, I need everyone to type in the chat, I am the CEO of a 7 or 8 figure business. You tell me which one it is. Whatever God told you, you're going to be a 7-figure earner, 8-figure. I don't know what he told you, but I need in the chat, I am the CEO of a 7-figure business or an 8-figure business. Because when we start our business, we have to start our business structure as if we are the CEO of what we are destined to be, because our foundation, our structure is everything, and then we're going to build on top of that, okay? Every multi-billion dollar corporation, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, everyone is starting in either a dorm room, a garage, an apartment, okay? So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So first things first, I'm Joy. I'm your business bestie. And besides being a business attorney, I've been a serial entrepreneur for about, 20 years. I'm old. So I'm going to talk to you on both the legal side and the business side. So I'm not going to just tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do, but more importantly, why you need to do this. Okay. So when you are going to start your business, you want to form your LLC the second you're thinking about starting a business. And we're not forming our LLC for our business. We're forming our LLC for us, because you may have a house, you may have a car, you may have money in the bank. When you start your business and your homegirl said, girl, let's go get a DBA, you ain't got to do all that, boom, 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 and you get a DBA, or you're a sole proprietor and you're out here doing business and you get sued, you don't have any kind of protection. So if you get sued, they're going to be able to take your house, your car, the money in your personal bank account, and we don't want that, okay? So the second you're thinking about starting a business, you want to form your LLC. Your LLC separates you from your business. So same scenario, if something happens and you were to get sued, they can only get what the LLC has. They don't get to touch your personal assets, okay? So reason number one why we're forming our LLC is to protect our personal assets and to separate us from our business. Now, when you're forming your LLC, you can form your LLC in any state that you desire. It is simplest just to form your LLC in the state that you reside in, okay? So if I'm in Florida, then I would form my LLC in Florida. However, there are other states that you can form your LLC in. I always tell people you want to keep your business structure as simple as possible, okay? If you do form your LLC in another state, that's fine, but you're going to have to register your LLC in the state that you're in as a foreign LLC if that's the state that you're doing business in, okay? So if you're going to say, well, I'm an online business, great. Where is your physical presence? Where is there an office space? Where is the CEO located? Where is the business being done? And if it's you, then you need to make sure that your LLC is either registered in your state, or you've registered the out-of-state LLC as a foreign LLC in the state that you're in. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to form our LLC. You want to first make sure that we have a business address on our LLC documents, okay? So if you already have a brick and mortar or an office space, you'll want to put that address on there. If you don't, you'll want to get something called a virtual address. A virtual address is going to be basically where you're renting a corporate office space. It's not going to be a P.O. box. It's not going to be a mailbox place. It's not going to be the post office. It's going to be a physical location where someone can walk in. There will be conference rooms. You can rent a conference space there for a meeting, but you want to get a virtual address. You can go to places like Opus, Regis, or physicaladdress.com. You also want to make sure that you have a registered agent. Okay, the registered agent is going to be the person who's responsible for receiving mail on behalf of the business. Now, you can be your own agent if you want, or you can hire a company to be your agent, or you can have someone be your registered agent. But the address for the registered agent is going to be the most important address, because if the state's trying to contact you, if someone is trying to sue you, they are going to mail the correspondence or send the lawsuit to that address. So if you already have your LLC and maybe you put a home address on there or an old business address, every single year you want to check your LLC documents and make sure that the address you have is a good address. If you need to update either your business address or your registered agent's address, you can do that by filing an amendment with the Secretary of State of whatever state it is that you formed your LLC in. So you want to make sure we have a business address, not our home address, because when it comes time to get funding, they're going to Google your business address. If an apartment complex pops up, if a house pops up, it's going to flag your business as being high risk. Can you make millions from the comfort of your home? Yes, you can. But every business needs to have a corporate presence, okay? So you want to have a business address, and then we want to make sure that the address for our registered agent is going to be a current address. The next thing we want to make sure is that we have a good corporate name, okay? You can name your business whatever you want to name it. However, there are certain industries that are going to be considered high risk. Industries like real estate, construction, CBD, credit repair, tax preparation, car dealership construction. So if I was a trucking company, I may not want to have Joy's Transportation as my government name or my LLC name. I may want to have more of a generic name. J&J Enterprises, J&J Holdings, J&J Solutions, J&J Group. I can then, depending on the state that you're in, you can get either an assumed name or a fictitious name. That will be like a nickname that you can do business in other than what your corporate name is. So on my banking, on my LLC documents, my name may be J&J Enterprises, but I'm doing business as Joy's Transportation. So on my trucks, I can have Joy's Transportation. On my website, on my social media, on how I'm marketing things. But my corporate name is more of a generic name. See, when we want to have our LLC, we want to have a business address listed for our LLC. We want to make sure we have a good address for our registered agent. We want to make sure that we have a nice generic or non-high-risk corporate name. You also want to check your name with, number one, the Secretary of State. That's whatever state that you're going to file your LLC in. You also want to check the trademark office, okay? So the USPTO.gov. You want to make sure that no one else has already trademarked or is already using your name. You want to then go on ahead and do a GoDaddy search, GoDaddy.com. Does someone already have your name? Are you able to get the domain name? You want to then go on ahead and check social media. Can you get that name or some kind of derivative of that name before you go and just start doing business in that name? So you don't want to start doing business in a name and then find out someone's already trademarked the name, and then now you're getting hit with the cease and desist letter saying, hey, you're using our name. And you'd already, got the domain, you got the email, you may have bought some packaging in that name, and now you got to spend money to rebrand. So you want to kind of check these different places to make sure you have a good name before making that your LLC name. So we're going to have our LLC, we're going to have our business address, we're going to have our current registered address, we're going to have a low risk name, and we're going to check our business name. Next, we're going to get an EIN number. An EIN number is going to be basically your tax ID or the social number for the business. Now, when you're getting your EIN number, this is where we're going to determine what our NAICS code is. That's going to be the code that your business is going to have for the rest of its life. Okay, so when you're getting your EIN, that's where you make your designation for your NAICS code. So not only do we not want to have a high risk name, we don't want to be in a high risk industry also in the code that we choose. So you want to choose a low risk code. When you're getting your EIN, I want to say it's going to be that last screen. They're going to ask you, what industry are you in? You want to choose consulting, management, services. You want to choose a low risk industry when you are getting your EIN number. Okay, so LLC, business address. We have a current address for our registered agent. We're gonna check our name to make sure it's not already trademarked. And then we're going to make sure that we have a low risk name and a low risk NAICS code. That's going to be forming your business structure. Now, forming your LLC is the first part. The second part is what I call running it like Walmart. Okay, so once you form your LLC, you now have to run your LLC like it's Walmart. Well, what do you mean? Well, number one, your state is going to require you to file some kind of annual report, franchise tax report, and or file a filing fee every year to keep your LLC active. If you don't file the report and you don't pay the fee, the state's going to make your LLC inactive. So we have us and our personal assets, and then we have our LLC. If we don't file that report and our LLC becomes inactive, it's like we don't have an LLC. If a lawsuit were to happen, now someone can touch our personal assets, and we don't want that, okay? So number one, you want to make sure that you're filing your annual report for your LLC or your corporation. Number two, if you have an LLC, you need to have a contract called an operating agreement. The operating agreement is going to determine how your LLC is to be ran, how are the profits and losses distributed. It's really a corporate formality. If you have a corporation, then you're going to have bylaws, okay? But both of these, an operating agreement or bylaws, are going to be the contract that runs the business entity. It is a corporate formality that you must have. If you're ever hit with a lawsuit, the first thing opposing counsel is going to subpoena is going to be your operating agreement or your bylaws, okay? So after we formed our LLC, we want to make sure that we're filing our LLC annual report, that we have our operating agreement or our bylaws. If you have formed your LLC prior to 2024, there's a new report now that the federal government wants you to file called the BOI, or the Beneficiary Ownership Information Report. That report is going to be due on January 1st of 2025 if you formed your entity in 2023 or earlier. If you formed your entity this year in 2024, that BOI report is going to be due in 90 days of your LLC or corporation being formed. Okay, you can go on fedsin.gov. It's going to be a website. It's a simple form. All they want is going to be your name, email address, and what's the name of the business. They don't want any real identifying information on that report. So we got our operating agreement and our bylaws. We're filing our BOI report. We're filing our annual report. Now we got to get a business bank account. A business bank account. We cannot be collecting business funds in Cash App. We cannot be collecting business funds in our personal account. we need to have a business bank account. We need to separate us from the business, okay? So when you get your business bank account, you want to make sure that your business bank account reflects the income of the business. So if you're in a cash heavy business, you cut hair, you do nails, you do lashes, you may make $1,000 or $2,000 for the day. But on your way home, you go by Walmart and go buy some groceries. If that money doesn't hit the business bank account, you don't get credit for that money. If you don't get credit for that money, it looks like your business didn't make that money. So all the cash that's collected needs to be going in the business bank account. Well, why? Well, one day you're going to want to go and get funding. Maybe you're going to need a line of credit to go buy some inventory. Maybe you're going to want to go get a commercial vehicle for your business. You know, you may need to get a loan for something. They're going to ask you for the last 90 days of business bank statements. Whatever is the amount of income in the business bank account, that's what they're going to say is what you're making. Now, you can't say, well, I got some money at home. I got some cash. All that. No, we got to run it like Walmart. We got to run it like Walmart. Okay. So whatever's in that business bank account, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to determine whether or not you qualify for the loan. So you want to make sure that once you get your business bank account, all of your business funds are going into the business bank account. You also need to have a POS system or a point of sale system. That'll be your Square, your Clover, your PayPal, some kind of system that's going to be able to track your sales. So you're able to give invoices, you're able to collect credit card payments, you're able to give receipts. It's going to track all of your sales, so that you have a third party that's independent of you, that you're able to hit a button and run a report as to what your sales are. The more money you make, there's going to come a point in time when the bank may not believe that you're really making this much money. Okay, so when you're at the banker's office and you have them log in to your Square or to your Clover account and they run your report for the last 90 days and that number matches what's in the bank, that's kind of your shut up, I'm making this money for real card, okay? So you want to make sure that you're able to, number one, track all of your sales, but number two, that your business bank account reflects what your business is really making. Now, when it comes to managing your cash flow, it may be easier to run your business by having multiple business bank accounts. I recommend that you have 4 accounts. The first account will be your income account. All of your income will go into this bank account. You're going to link up your credit card payment to this account, and any cash deposits will all go into your income account. Your second account will be your operating or your expense account, whichever one you want to call it. You're going to pay all your bills out of this account. This account will have either business checks and or a business check card linked to it. You're going to have all these accounts at the same bank, so you can just, make transfers without any kind of additional fees. But you will transfer money over from your income account to your expense account daily, weekly, monthly, depending on how your cash flow is, to cover the bills for the business. If you have any kind of employees, then your third account is going to be your payroll account. Now, employees are going to be slick. Employees will change the amount on checks. Employees will make up fake checks with your business information on it. Okay, so you want to have a separate dedicated account that's just for payroll. Number one, it makes it simple for your accountant or your CPA to be able to see what's payroll, what's expenses, what's income. Number two, when Keisha changes that $1,000 check to a $10,000 check and your account goes negative, it's the payroll account that's negative, not that income account. Okay, because come the first, your rent, inventory, supplies, things are due. Nobody cares that Keisha changed the amount on the check. Nobody cares what problems you have because everybody has their own problems, right? So I would rather explain to the employees why I got to write or give them another cashier's check for their payroll versus me trying to explain to my landlord, to my vendor, to a company or who's supplying me things to make money as to why I don't have the money, okay? So third account will be for your payroll. And then your fourth account will be your tax/savings account. So every industry is going to have high cash flow months and then skim seasons. So on your harvest season, on those big months, you want to put some money away for the skim months. Another reason why it's good to break down these different accounts is because when it comes for funding, we only have to give them our income bank statement. So all it's going to have is the money coming in or deposits, ACH deposits from the credit card company, cash deposits from you, and then wire transfers out to your other accounts. The underwriter is not going to see where you're spending your money. You may have a fun lifestyle, right? Whoever is underwriting the loan, their job is to weed out the people who they feel are not going to pay back the money. What if you do a lot of door dashing or Uber eating, right? What if you like to turn up and you at the hookah bar or the strip club? You may get judged based on one, how you're spending your money or what you're spending your money on. When you break up these different accounts, the banker is only going to see an income account. So now you can't get judged on how you're spending your money because all they're seeing is income coming in and then wire transfers out. So it just gives you nice, clean bank statements that number one is going to be great for funding. You're able to manage your cash flow by having these different accounts. And it's going to also cut down the time that your accountant or your CPA has to spend on going through your bank statements to do these financials, and that will save you some money. Okay, so that's banking. We do not want to commingle though personal and business funds. So that business check card shouldn't be paying for nails, haircuts, none of that. It only needs to be paying for business expenses. Okay. Once you commingle, meaning once you start taking that business card and go getting these nails done, now we no longer have us and the LLC. We only have the LLC. We only have you, and they're going to be able to what's called pierce the corporate veil, meaning they're going to be able to touch your personal assets. We want to keep this 2-cup scenario, us and the LLC. So if you don't file your annual report, you don't have the corporate, you don't have the protection of the LLC. If you don't have a business bank account, you don't have the protection of an LLC. If you're commingling funds, meaning you collecting business funds on your personal Cash App, you using your business check card to get your hair cut, you don't have the protection of an LLC. Yes, you formed it, but they're going to do what's called pierce the corporate veil and say, baby, you don't have an LLC, and now I'm coming after your house, your home, your car, your personal assets. We don't want that. Any kind of licenses, permits, insurance that either your state, your industry requires, you need to have. So if I have Joyce Trucking and I'm supposed to have $1 million insurance policy and I'm trying to cut corners and I just get a $100,000 policy and an accident happens and they realize I'm underinsured, I don't have an LLC, and now they're coming after my home, my car, the money in the bank, okay? So running it like Walmart is what I call following the corporate formality. So business bank account, filing your annual report for your LLC or your corporation, filing your BOI report to make sure that your LLC is active, and then having your operating agreement or bylaws, and then having your business banking without commingling funds. Now, once you start making $60,000 in profit or more for the year, you want to then tell the IRS that you would like to tax your entity as a S corp. So when you're forming your entity, you have two choices. You can form an LLC or you can form a C corp. Both entities don't have the best tax break, okay? So an LLC is going to pay a 12.4% self-employment tax on top of the income tax that it's going to pay. A C corp is going to have double taxation, meaning the C corp is going to get taxed when the entity earns the money, and then it pays another tax when it pays the money out to the owner. Well, both of those, the LLC or the C corp, they don't have the best tax structure. So once your business is making about 60 grand a year in profit, you can say, hey, IRS, can you please tax me as an S corp? Okay. An S corp is not a business entity. You can't go to the Secretary of State and form an S corp, but you can have your LLC or your C corp taxed as an S corp. So to be an S corp, you're going to have your CPA, your accountant, file a form 2553 with the IRS, and you'll be able to then be taxed as an S corp. So an S corp doesn't have double taxation if it's a corporation. If you're an LLC, it doesn't have to pay that 12.4 self-employment tax. However, to be an S corp, the owner has to be on payroll. So number one, you got to be on payroll. So you would either, whatever you're paying yourself, if I pay myself $10,000 a month, I will want to split that in half and run $5,000 of that through payroll. So you'll be getting a payroll check with payroll taxes being taken out every 2 weeks. And then now, if you are an S corp will now file a separate tax return. So you're going to have the additional fee of filing a separate tax return versus if you were just an LLC. So those are going to kind of be some things you want to kind of, if you're not quite there, be mindful of it, because if you start making money and you don't make that S corp election, you're going to get hit with the big 6-figure tax bill with the real alphabet boys, the I, the R, and the S, and we don't want that. Okay, so we're going to form our LLC or corporation, whichever one you want. LLC has less corporate formalities, so it's my entity of choice. You want to make sure that you have a business address, not a residential, not an apartment, not a home address on your articles of organization. You want to make sure that we have a good address for the registered agent. It is grimy out here in these business streets. So even if you are doing good business, that doesn't mean that you won't get sued. Okay, I have a client. She teaches people how to start a beauty supply company. She has a one-on-one program. She had a lady that came in, paid for the one-on-one program, did the whole thing, got all the vendors, got the systems, got everything. Now it's time for her to do her own beauty supply. She didn't have enough money to actually pay for the first and last month's rent to get the space. That had nothing to do with my client's coaching program, right? Well, she said, well, since I can't get the space, I want a refund on the course because now I can't use the course. Well, baby, you already got all the information. Well, what did she do? She sued. The lawsuit went to the address of the registered agent. My client happened to have moved business locations, didn't update that address, so she never received the lawsuit. In most states, you only have 30 days to respond to a lawsuit, so she never heard about it, never got it, and so she lost a $10,000 lawsuit that she would have won, but she never received it. Okay, so in business, there is no do-overs. There is no, I didn't know, didn't no one tell me. Once you come out here in these business streets, it's eat or get eaten, kill or be killed. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are protected. So we're going to have our LLC or our corporation. We're not going to have a DBA. We're not going to wait to make sure our business makes money, and then we're going to get an entity. We're going to form it the second we're thinking about doing a business. We're going to have our business address. We're going to have a good address for the registered agent. We are going to have a nice low-risk corporate name. We're going to check our name with the trademark office, the Secretary of State, and GoDaddy.com to make sure it's available. We're going to get our EIN, and we're going to choose a low-risk industry when we're getting our EIN so that we have a nice low-risk NAICS code. We're going to make sure that we have our business bank account. We're not going to commingle our funds. So we're not going to take that business card and pay for personal expenses. And we're not going to accept business funds in our personal account. We're going to make sure that our business bank account reflects the income that the business really is making. So we're not going to hide the cash and the mattress and all that. We want to make sure that everything hits the bank account. We're going to make sure that we have our operating agreement or our corporate bylaws, that we're filing our annual LLC report and or paying our fee to keep our LLC or our corporation active, and then whatever are going to be the license, insurance, permits that your state or your industry requires you to have, that we have all of those, and that's going to give you your proper business structure, all of that. We don't want to skip steps on this, okay? Do I have any questions? Am I asking questions? Let's see. We're going to check. Do we have any questions? What is the site again? What? Oh, BOI. BOI stands for Beneficiary Ownership Information. Beneficiary Ownership Information Report. That's a new report you may have seen on Instagram. You know, you can get fined $500 a day, blah, blah, blah. FedSyn, let me make sure I put let me get the right website. FedSyn.gov. So it's just a report that you have to fill out. The report ain't got nothing to do with y'all. The federal government is trying to cut down on all of these, basically on money laundering. So people who buy a shelf corp and they receive income on it, but because, you know, it's an anonymous LLC, no one knows who owns the corporation, so they're not paying taxes on it. That's what this is on, FinCEN. I'll type it in the chat. Here's the website to where you can go to get the BOI report. If you formed your LLC in 2023 or earlier, you have till January 1st of 2025 to file the report. If you formed your LLC this year, you have 90 days from when your LLC was formed to file this report. What if you have an inactive LLC? Is it possible to restructure the LLC and make it active again? Yes. So you would just file the report and pay the fee for whatever years that you're missing. So let's just say you're missing the past 2 years. You'll file the report, and if you're most states will have some kind of late penalty or late fee. You'll pay that, and that will reactivate your LLC so that you keep your corporate age. So let's just say we formed the LLC in 2020, but maybe you weren't using it, you weren't doing anything with it, so you didn't file the report. Once you reactivate it, you still keep that corporate age, versus if you just said, oh, well, forget that, I'll form a new one. Well, you can do that too, but now you only have a 1-month-old LLC versus you could have kept the age of the 4 years. If I have made the mistake of commingling funds, should I just start a new corporation? No. Okay, so if you made a mistake and you've been commingling funds, we just need to stop, right? We just need to stop, and just from tomorrow, we're gonna just start brand new. And if you don't have any kind of litigation going on right now, you are gonna be fine. just know that if something were to happen, right? And in business, you are going to get sued. I'm not saying that you're going to lose the lawsuit, right? But in business, stuff happens. Your employee can make a mistake. You could have thought the contract read 1, 2, 3, and I thought it read 3, 2, 1. Now we're having a dispute, right? Maybe you got a loan and you defaulted on the loan, so now they're coming after you. They're gonna ask for the last either 90 or 120 days of bank statements to make sure that you were actually you in an LLC. Once they see that you're kind of the same thing, they're going to pierce that corporate veil and take that LLC away. So no, don't start over. All you have to do is, as of tomorrow, just kind of get everything in order now. What are some low risk industries? Consulting, teaching, management, education, e-commerce. Those would be some low risk industries. Can you amend you cannot amend your LLC if you have a business name. Well, you can amend it. It's not going to do anything for you, because whenever you amend something, you have to take the original and the amendment in. So when you go to apply for the loan, you're going to take your amendment and your original LLC paperwork in. And when they see that original paperwork, they are going to see the high risk industry name. Now, this is what you can do if you are already in a high risk industry. We can mask the industry by forming a holding or a parent company. Okay, it's going to be a little complex, but here's what you can do. So let's just say I have Joyce Trucking, right? I got Joyce Trucking. What I can do is I could form Joyce Consulting. I can make Joyce Consulting now the owner of Joyce Trucking. So I'm not changing the name. I'm changing the ownership from me to Joyce Consulting. I will then build out the profile under Joyce Consulting. So getting my credit profile, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all that good stuff. You can run the money from Joyce Trucking via a management fee up to the parent company, Joyce Consulting. So let's just say after I pay my bills for Joyce Trucking, every month I may make $20,000. Well, I'll keep $5,000 in Joyce Trucking for this expenses, and then I'll run the other 15 up via a management fee to Joyce Consulting, that's how I'm going to be getting the income in, $15,000. And then I can go and get funding out of Joyce Consulting. So by forming a parent company, so Joyce Trucking will be the subsidiary. That's what you can do to mask your industry, all while you're forming a new LLC in a generic name, but just let this LLC sit for a year. So you can either build out Joyce Trucking and run the play on Joyce Trucking. You're not going to get the maximum funding, but you will get some funding. Still forming your second company, forming it today, let that sit for a year to age. Okay, so now when it's time to run the play again on the low risk LLC, now it's already aged for a year. Or you can get a parent company and have Joyce Trucking be the subsidiary and run the play on Joyce parent company. How would you recommend paying yourself for pay stub purposes? So you're going to actually go and get a payroll company. So ADP, ExecuPay, QuickBooks has payroll, and you're going to actually have a real check or a real direct deposit sent to your bank account. I always advise you don't want to do your own payroll, because with payroll, there are 941 reports, there's W-2s, there's quarterly reports you got to pay to the IRS. You want to pay a payroll company to keep all of these corporate formalities and all these forms together. So you want to pay a payroll company to set yourself up on payroll. And you would tell them how much you want to pay yourself. And they're going to tell you how much you got to have in the account for the payroll company to take out to go pay the payroll taxes for the IRS. Can you change your NAICS code? No. Once you form your EIN, you cannot change your NAICS code. If you never use the LLC, do you still pay taxes on it? You only pay taxes on income. So if the LLC made money, and it made more money than the expenses, so it had a profit, then you would file taxes. You'll file the income on your tax return, and then you only pay taxes on the profit. If the LLC didn't make any money, you still want to file your taxes because you can carry a loss for 5 years. This is why once you start having a business, we are now past TurboTax, you need to invest in an accountant or a CPA. So let's just say I'm starting Joy's Trucking this year, and so my first year I don't make any money. Maybe I spent $50,000 getting my business open, but I didn't make any money. So I had like a loss. So I just didn't do anything. But next year, I'm making money. Well, I can carry over that loss of $50,000. I mean, let's just say for this year, 2024, I just invested 50 grand in my business. I didn't make $1. Okay. But next year I make $100,000. Well, what I can do if I filed my taxes the right way with an accountant or a CPA, they can go take that loss you had from the year before, carry it over to this year so that you're not paying a tax on the full 100,000. You're only going to pay a tax on 50 because you're using the loss from the year before and you're carrying it over. So a loss can be carried over for 5 years. So this is why once you start having a business, you need to make sure that you are in a CPA or an accountant's office, letting them know what industry you're in, getting a consultation on what are the common tax deductions, how you should be saving your receipts for them to have to do your books, understanding that we are now past TurboTax, we are past doing our own tax, we are past getting a refund. You know, you want to make sure that someone else is now doing your books and doing your tax return so that, number one, you're able to reap all the benefits of all the different tax breaks and tax deductions that a business has. How do you manage keeping up paying all the fees, annual reports every year? Okay, you just marketing your calendar. So depending on the state, some states, they have every year it's the same date. Like in Texas, every year, May 15th is the date that the annual report is due. Other states like New York, it's due on the anniversary of when you formed the LLC. So every year on the date that you formed your LLC, that's when your form is due. So you probably just need to put a note into your calendar. Some CPAs or an accountant will file your annual report for you for an additional fee. Hire someone to do it for you, but this date is like more important than your birthday turnip, okay? Because this date is the date that's going to make sure that I have my LLC so that no one's touching my personal assets. Where can you find a CPA, and can you file 2 years together? You can find a CPA. Let me give you somebody. On Instagram, his name is going to be Pruitt Prep CPA. Just tell him that I sent you. Oh, I'm not typing. But you can just look for a CPA or an accountant, someone that you know. They can be in your state. They don't have to be in your state because taxes is going to be federal law. But you need to have an accountant or a CPA doing your taxes. And then you need to also, if you are just starting your business, have a consultation to learn like what are going to be some common tax deductions, what you should be looking for, blah, blah, blah. If you're already making money, then you need to be having an annual consultation for tax planning. So this year, okay, let's just say I'm in real estate. I sold 4 homes this year, right? I made a nice little profit off the homes. Am I freezing? I made a good profit off the homes. I need to do what's called tax planning. So when you have your annual meeting with an accountant or CPA, they'll be able to tell you, hey, this year, go buy some more inventory. This year, go buy a company car. This year, go ahead and, get you 2 more properties, so that if you have to cut a check, they're going to say you can cut a check for something that you need, or you can cut a check to the IRS. If you don't have a tax planning session where they can guide you as to where you should be putting this money, then what's going to happen come January 1st, the tax year is over with, and you're just going to owe the money. Okay, so there's tax planning where once you start making money, what am I doing with this money that's going to be tax beneficial for me? So you may hear people buying company cars, stocking up on inventory, reinvesting it in a similar or like kind item. There's different things that you can do. That's why it's so important to do a consultation with a CPA or an accountant, so that you know what it is that you need to do for your business. Can you file 2 years together? No, you're going to file each tax year each tax year is filed by itself. If you have to file multiple years at one time, yes, you can do that. I just filed my LLC this year. However, I was in business last year and the business made about $90,000. Would you recommend going back and filing for then putting more than 50% as expenses for a tax write-off, or simply starting fresh this year? You were in business last year. So an LLC is a pass-through entity, which means that the income and expenses passes to you personally. So the business files its return with your personal return. So Chris, if you already filed your personal return, you are going to need to include the income that the LLC made. So if you filed your return in April, how did you make this money? Like, did you make it through like credit card payments? It was cash? Is it reported? How did you make this $90,000?
Yeah, I did cash payments and Zelle transfers.
You already filed your tax return?
No, ma'am, I haven't filed my taxes for this year yet.
But you made it last year in 03, right? I mean, 23. Yes. You're fine. So you plan on filing your tax return in October?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you're going to have to include this income on your personal return.
Okay.
On the Schedule C. And so whatever expenses you had for that income, you will then add that on the Schedule C to cut down whatever was that income. And then if you're making $90,000, you need to also be filing for that S Corp election. I want to say the due date for the S Corp election is March 15th, but you get with your CPA. You need to make that S Corp election because you're going to be paying a nice pretty penny on self-employment taxes on top of the income taxes.
Mm-hmm. Joy, you gave them the game tonight. You gave them the game. Everybody, can we just get a big thank you for Miss Joy? And when y'all doing this inside the chat, when y'all giving her flowers, y'all, like, I told y'all that she was gonna come and give y'all the game for the kickoff call. Like, did I lie? Y'all, did I lie to y'all? Like, let me know. Let me know. Did I lie to y'all about this? Right? I told y'all she was definitely gonna come in here and she was gonna give you guys everything that y'all needed. And Joy, you know, I'm super appreciative of you, not only for the game that you put me on, but, you know, being able to share this with my community. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed. And I know every single one of them, you know, everybody on the call right now, they definitely are appreciative of you as well. Just point them in the right direction. I heard a lot of the questions. I see every question that was asked tonight. So, you know, it's definitely pivotal in whatever role that they're in. But, yo, let's just go ahead and unmute ourselves. Let's give Joy a big thank you. This was just a kickoff call, y'all. Right? But let's just give Joy a big thank you. Let's give Joy a big thank you. Y'all should be able to unmute yourselves right now. Let's do it. Let's show out. Let's show our gratitude.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Joy.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're beautiful, Miss Joy.
Oh, thank you, girl. Thank you.
Stay
You
down.
know, something.
I ain't see the bank emoji in here, Joy. I dropped you a couple bags, though.
Thank you.
So this is definitely, y'all, like, I'm excited for y'all. This is just kickoff call. Tomorrow, we're going to go ahead and get it straight into the game. We're going to go ahead and get straight into the funding. Everybody going to learn how to get this bag. And